Okay, let me start by giving a true story. Okay. Obviously, I've changed the name and identity to protect the person's, just protect the person's identity, privacy, and anonymity. Okay. This guy, let's call him Valsa. There's a guy so tall, taller than me, big, huge, very big. Big in the sense, it's really fat, overweight, seriously overweight. But the guy was exceptionally dynamic, very, very dynamic. When you talk to him, you'd feel that sense of energy. He was always upbeat. He was always the guy who could do it. He was in sales, and he was number one in his region. In fact, he had a reputation in this company. I don't know if you know the company CAT, Caterpillar. You know Caterpillar, those trucks, yellow, painted, earth moving equipment, and then they have generators, and he used to work for them. So this guy, this is in the UAE days of mine, talking of 16 years ago. Yeah, I'm 46 now, at the age of 30. When he was put in Sharjah is a place in UAE, he was number one there. When they transferred him to Dubai, he became number one there. Then they put him in the most difficult region, that was Abu Dhabi, which is the capital of UAE, where most of the customers were Arabic speaking. This Indian guy from, I think, Chennai, not too sure, he was unbelievable. He was able to achieve the highest sales record month after month after month. There was nobody who could stop him. His work ethic, his energy levels, his never say die attitude, it was unbelievable. The guy was number one, and very welcoming, very humble. Even when I used to meet him those days, ask him, how do you do the sales, man? Nothing, yeah, just be nice to people and talk. He would always give those very diplomatic, nice answers. But a very friendly guy, you'd like the guy. So, but he worked very hard. And he worked very hard for himself. He had a wife and he had a child. Okay. Now what I'm going to tell you next actually happened. Obviously, as you achieve higher sales and number one, you get promotion, right? So from sales executive, he got senior sales executive. Then, I don't know, maybe more senior. Then he got to team leader or whatever. And he was next in line to be promoted to, manager or assistant manager, or they wanted to definitely give him something higher because it was very beneficial for the company in their targets. So as he was standing up and giving a sales, his presentation or whatever, or report, he was talking. As he was going on, all of a sudden he stopped, stuttered, put his hand on the table and fell down on the table and collapsed on the ground. And everyone got a shock. And what happened? They went and took him and called the hospital and ambulance. And by the time he reached the hospital, he was pronounced dead. He had died due to a heart failure because he was massively overweight. And lo and behold, he left behind his wife and kid. And, out of courtesy, people who knew him, and they donated a sum of money, and I think bygones finish. People forgot him and life went on. Now, this was a true story. Huh? Okay. I'll give you another example. You can Google search this guy's name. His name is Flex Wheeler. Flexwheeler. Flex Wheeler. He's a bodybuilder. He is the bodybuilder of the 80s. Considered by many as a legend. His physique, his symmetry, his aesthetics, his presentations. You should just Google search and unbelievable. If you could make a character, if you could draw Marvel or a superhero, or you would have a body like that. This guy, they used to say he was genetically gifted, but what people didn't know is how much he pushed his body, not just in the gym, but also with the usage of steroids. And he pushed himself like no one else's business. And it was unfortunate for him that he was competing in the era of a bodybuilder called, you can Google search this name, Dorian Yates. It's known as the Shadow. He was competing in his era and he was unstoppable. And after Dorian Yates retired, he was competing with a bodybuilder called Ronnie Coleman, Ronnie Coleman. That I will talk about him later. So he always came second. He never came beyond second. He was always second, no matter how good his conditioning was. If Dorian Yates competed, he would get second. And later on, when Ronnie Coleman competed, he would always get second. Eventually, one day, he stopped competing. And people wondered why. Even I didn't know at that time. Many years later, I found out that because he pushed his body to such a level, because of all the steroid usage, because of his obsession towards this success, this glory, both his kidneys failed. Not just one, both his kidneys failed. And apart from that, he got some immune blood disorder. Because of something happened. It was eating into his blood. It was killing him. He was actually dying. He had to get a kidney replacement. Then he had to have all this repaired. And for a guy who had millions of dollars, you can check his interview on London Reel, where he spoke that from having a mansion, a $6 million house and all that, suddenly he had to take one small house, one small apartment, a small bedroom where him, his wife, his kids or his mother, whatever, they had to live in that bedroom. And there he also needed expenses to pay his medical bills. And if that was not bad enough, after trying to rebound from all those problems, issues and challenges, he tried to make a bodybuilding comeback. That also you can check it online. He was a former shell of his old self, either 54 or whatever. He still pushed his body again for the last time. And lo and behold, because of that, one day he found out there was some sharp pain or whatever. I don't know, health scare. He was feeling he was going to die. Doctors found out his vein or something had been compromised and they had to amputate his leg. And lo and behold, he had to undergo another tragedy where they cut off his leg. And today, he's still alive, but is without a leg. Now, and he's a nice person. If you see his interviews, gem of a guy. No, nothing showing off, not a villainous character. Okay. Now, last example that I'll give you is Ronnie Coleman. I'm very sure you must have seen his YouTube videos or something about him. Ronnie Coleman was a bodybuilder who he was famous because he not only won 8 Mr. Olympias, which is the highest level. Arnold Schwarzenegger won 7. But Arnold Schwarzenegger won because of favoritism, politics and all that. And sometimes he was the only competitor, so he was just given the prize. Because that time Joe Vader, the founder of making modern bodybuilding, wanted a James Bond-ish kind of character, he got one. So he made sure he was always at the top. So after that, Dorian Yates, came with Lee Haney came with the thickness. He's another bodybuilder. You can search him in the 80s. Then after that came Dorian Yates, was even more thicker and bigger. These bodybuilders kept getting huge and mass monsters, they would call them. Ronnie Coleman came, and he was naturally gifted without steroids, but he realized if he had to win, he had to take steroids. And lo and behold, he started to take steroids and he just exploded in terms of his muscles. But there was one style of his training strategy which was very controversial. And that is, he believed in Dorian Yates' philosophy, taking the heaviest weight. And by the way, Dorian Yates at least had one thing going for him. You take the heaviest weight, one single rep, push the body to the point where you will literally puke and fall down. It's called heavy duty, the Mike Manzer principle. The problem with this is he ended up tearing his shoulder rotator cuff. He detached his tricep. He tore his bicep. He damaged his body. His whole shoulder was attached by just a thin string of a ligament. He had to retire early. So he couldn't fulfill his potential because he pushed his body that bad. But Ronnie Coleman took it to a whole new level. You can search this. He's doing full squat. Okay, full squat with I think 800 pounds. 800. And he's not just doing it. He is pushing his body and he is not stopping. And I think he did, how many, 6 reps or 7 reps? Now you might say, what is wrong with that? Well, here's newsflash for you. The human body was not designed to lift so much heavy weight and carry so much of mass. It puts a lot of pressure on your body and organs. And he did it. He won 8 Olympias, yes. But today, if you Google search about Ronnie Coleman, the same guy has had multiple back surgeries, neck surgeries or whatever. He can't walk without crutches. He's more like paralyzed. He sits on his wheelchair and moves around. The funny thing is he still says, I wish I could lift more. He literally was bedridden. He couldn't move his legs. And he's just like you're just talking of a human being who's carrying his upper body just to survive. Okay, his lower body is just like lifeless, dangling. Now, this is the price he paid for his success. Now, what I want you to do is check bodybuilders who have died young. I'm focusing on bodybuilders because I'm speaking of a genre. Check Cedric McMillan, CDRIC. Check out his physique. Check Sean Roden, SEANRHODN, I think. Check Dennis McCarver or something. Hope I got his name right. All these guys are in their 40s. Some are even 20s. There is one other bodybuilder who is YouTuber. His name is ZZZ. Young boy, Pakistani boy, who was based in UK or something. YouTuber, influencer. They all died. Now, why am I sharing this with you? See, I know I preached to you about obsession. I preached to you about no matter what, be obsessed morning, afternoon, evening, night. Think about it. Push yourself to the limit and no matter what. But here's a simple question to ask you. But obsession to the point where you're dead? Then, does that make sense? Like, you died. So then what do you do with your obsession, man? What do you do with your success? Like, for example, after all the money that I made and kept in the bank account and all that, and I'm dead. I can't take the money with me, right? I can't take the house with me, right? I can't take the big expensive cars and big expensive mansion and girls and all that. Nothing. I go alone, right? I go like just body, just cover clothes, and the worms and bacteria will eat me up, right? In fact, check Rich Piana, very famous, legendary bodybuilder. Oh, his arms were like, of course, silicone. Check what happened to him. Legendary figure. People were talking about him and died because his organs couldn't take it. Yeah, he fell down from the chair and hit his head, but his body was too weak. In fact, the liver king was saying, eat liver, eat raw liver, and you will be the prehistoric man, and all that bull he was giving. He also took steroids because he wanted to achieve that fame and notoriety. See, all of us, we have a few skeletons in the closet. We have a few dirty secrets. And then we have these loopholes. We try to cheat the system. But then the question is, how much can you handle? How much can your body handle? And how much can life, take it for you? See, now that guy I spoke to you about, also, he died. So what will he do with his sales commissions? What will he do with his house that he built? What will he do with... Nothing. Now his wife is a widow. Child is fatherless. Finished. Over. Now this Flex Wheeler. Yeah, he's legend. He's great. Is it worth living next 20, 30 years? Both kidneys fail and bankrupt and with one leg. Was it worth? I don't know what he thinks. Me personally, maybe that's why I'm ordinary. I wouldn't have done that. Ronnie Coleman, legendary greatness, 8 Olympias. But to the point of now being on a wheelchair and walking with crutches and dangling your lower legs like lifeless, just like, was it worth it? And then Rich Piana died. Liver King told lies to the whole world and he was doing it naturally, and some 12 tenets of being natural, eat liver and this and that, and destroyed his reputation. Cedric McMillan and all these bodybuilders died. Was it worth it? If you're dead, what's the point, man? Who remembers you? Who cares? We're all doing it for what? For public appreciation, for, being liked, being recognized. The deep-rooted human desires, no? And yes, money. Of course, money and living a good life. But what's the point of trying to make that money that you can't enjoy it? You just left it. Many people ask me, like, why don't you just purchase a house? It's a lifetime investment. Yeah, what if I'm dead? Lifetime investment for who? Me? For my generation, right? See, we all like to believe we can live forever. Like, see the Turkey earthquake. Who predicted this? Think how many men, women, children, people died, lost their business, lost their investments, lost their whatever. Life is so unpredictable, man. If there was a message I could give you through this video, it would just be that obsession is good, focus towards your success is good, earning money is good, wanting to achieve greatness is good. All this is good, all they're fine. Not at the price of what money can't buy, what fame can't give. Not at that cost. I would never tell anyone be obsessed over success or money or anything at the cost that you'd be dead. You die if Finished, man. You'll just be put in some grave and nobody will remember you. Yeah, unless you're some celebrity. But then, how does it benefit you being remembered? Yeah, one life. Might as well live it meaningfully, right? And live it healthy, happy. I personally, I'm telling me, I don't know about others. I would rather live my life mediocre. I'm not saying live the poorest of the poor, mediocre with happiness, rather than spend an eternity achieving greatness but then suffering for 20, 30, 50 years. That's why I told my wife, the day I become like a old man vegetable like this, euthanasia, please, please. I'm not interested in having tubes up, down in my mouth, left, right, and people using a glove to remove stuff from poison from my body and all. Not interested. Anyway, this is what I wanted to share. You let me know your thoughts in the comments below. You agree, disagree. But yeah, one life. You have to decide how you want to live it, right? And that's all in your hands. Anyway, good, bad, ugly. Feel free, comment down below. Let me know what you think. And yeah, if in case you do know that guy who I'm talking about, please don't mention his name because it's not good. Maybe his family would like privacy. I've not taken permission from them for this because I'm not in touch with them. It's always good to keep it private. Alright, you can send me privately. But that's it. I remember his name. Full name, yeah. Alright, you guys take care. Ciao.